So
a couple of things that our criteria was the roof needed to be good, the foundation needed to be good.
yeah, if we had like electrical
serious
issues, we wouldn't touch it.
Oh, really?
Foundation issues, we wouldn't touch it. If the roof was within 5 years of being need to replace, we wouldn't touch the house.
Not even if, well, I mean, if they would y'all ever engage a seller and ask them to replace it before you bought it?
No, we didn't do that only because, like I said earlier, the majority of the houses we were buying were from the bank, and the bank's just not going to do that.
They won't touch it.
It's an as
They won't
is.
touch it.
Right, it's as is, as is, as is. That's what they always said to me.
Yeah.
Not only is it as is, it's as is.
As is, where is.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So for us, we just kind of stayed away from those houses. But again, when we started doing this years and years and years ago, you know, there was not a lot of other people doing it. You know, so we were like the only ones floating around buying houses and flipping them. You know, so we didn't have a lot of competition, and so we could be very picky about what we were doing. Now, as we've progressed and started doing a lot of the rehabs on our own, you know, then we would get into other things that we weren't doing in the beginning. But in the very beginning, we stayed away from those three things because they can be very, very costly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Very costly. Yep.
And especially you didn't want those extra costs because the unknowns.
Yeah, when
There's
you break
always
into a wall, you
yeah.
never know what you're going to get. You know.
Another thought or another motto we always had was if you go in knowing it's not going to go as planned, you're really going to be okay.
Right. What's your percentage on holdover? So what I mean by that is that, you know, you say, okay, I'm going to flip for $50,000. I'm going to spend $50,000 on the rehab. What percent? 10% of that do you have as a holdover in case you go over, or is it more? Or don't you even calculate that in?
I don't really calculate it that way.
Okay. You're that good.
No, I just.
And I don't mean to be negative when I say that. I'm just saying that, you know, you could be a lot better because I know you do a lot of the work. So, if I remember correctly, you're doing a lot of the rehab work, or is Reagan doing?
No, I'm hiring every bit of it out.
Oh, you're all hiring it.
I manage
first
the whole
talk,
thing.
you were doing a little bit.
Actually, if we met back when I was doing the first one, then that is true. I did some of the stuff myself.
Okay.
I got up on the roof myself. I did a lot of that.
So when you're talking to, how are you dealing with your? And this is an extra question. So when you were dealing with your subcontractors, right? How are you? Are you getting them to lock in on their prices, or are they floating their prices?
It depends on my relationship with the contractor.
Okay.
So, I have a couple very, very trusted guys, and I'll allow them to float their prices. And I've got enough rapport with them, enough experience with them, enough time and money invested with them that they're not going to. They don't want to mess up what we have going on. So I
right.
really,
Well, you're feeding them. You're feeding
exactly.
them. You know, you're feeding them, and when you get somebody who is like that, you're right. You
and truthfully, I would say too that I want them to prosper.
Correct.
You know,
Right.
I need them to prosper.
Exactly.
I need them to stay in business.
Right.
So I don't mind paying good people. I don't mind paying them well.
Right.
I agree.
And,
that's our.
There's
motto,
enough
too.
money to go around.
Yes.
Right.
You know, and if you continue, if you're good at what you're doing, flipping
Mhm.
houses, you know, there's a ton of money to be made. I mean, our very first year, I think we did 12 or 13 hot flips, and we made like 300 and some odd $1,000 that first year on flipping houses. It was crazy for us.
Wow.
And we did. We actually, what we were doing, we had a crew come in. Julie does most of the work on the houses. I literally do not swing a hammer. But we had a crew come in that she was managing and working with them. And our boys were helping out too, but they were little then. But we would tell them, they would say to us, so it's another strategy you could use with your handicap man, say, how long do you think you're going to take to get this job done? And they'll say 30 days. And I would come back to them and I say, well, for $1,000 bonus, I need you to have it done in 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. And that works. It worked every single time.
It was a great incentive.
It was a great incentive. That house was done just like that, and still quality. That's the thing. You got to make it sure that they're doing still the right stuff. But yep, we would give them a $1,000 bonus if they got it done within 5 days of their original date, or 10 days, or whatever it was we decided, depending on how much work needed to be done. So, all right, so let's go to a quick break right now, and then we'll come back and have some
More questions
More
for Cale.
questions for Cale. And leave us your questions on Facebook and Twitter if you're out there, folks, listening in to us. Thank you. You actually only have about 20 minutes
If you're visiting the Grand Strand and looking to relocate to
Because we
North
can
Beach,
actually talk about some things that are going on in our area, and then did you know?
Yep. So if I go like this to you, that means just speed up.
Wrap it up.
No, speed up your answer a little bit.
Yeah, your code. You need to explain your
This
code.
this means speed up your answer a little bit.
I hadn't seen that.
Nope, that's why.
Oh, okay.
No, you're doing good.
No, you're doing fine. But when we get down to the nitty gritty and the
That's when
time,
we start to panic.
Oh, and I've been thinking, trying to get too long-winded with answers and stuff. So.
yeah, and that's okay.
No,
buddy. I'll cut you and tell
Yeah,
you.
do that.
Yep.
You'll be fine.
Okay.
Don't do that, because then you just might stop talking. You don't want that.
We got
You've got-
people on there.
Yeah, you've got actually all 5 emails plus 1.
Yay!
Stacy Smith, Hunter Norris, Deborah Lawson, Courtney.
Okay.
There's 16, 17, 18 people in.
Awesome. That's
Good
Facebook.
morning,
Yes.
everybody.
What do we got
Thank
for
you
Twitter?
for joining us.
Twitter.
Hi, Deb.
Hey, Courtney. Thank you. You better be in here next weekend.
16 for Twitter.
Twitter. All right, Twitter, folks. Oh, somebody just left a message on Twitter.
Just hit something. I felt
Somebody
like
just left a message on Twitter. Do you know what it is?
No,
It didn't-
nothing
it didn't
is
come up.
beeping. I don't see
They
any
must have
showing,
joined.
so we're okay.
Okay.
Oh,
They must have joined.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Twitter and Facebook, if you're just joining us, we are talking with Cale Ferguson this morning and his lovely wife Reagan, and their beautiful little baby Scotland is in the house. And we are talking about flipping homes.
That's right.
So if you got any questions for us, text them in. Lexi's watching the feed, and we should be able to get them answered. If we miss you for some reason, after the show, we'll go back through and answer any of the questions that you might have
Someone
had
just
for
told
us.
you hi.
And
Hi, Deb. I told
thank
her.
you, all of you. I'll get your copy of the book out to you this week. And nobody from Twitter's asking yet.
Nope.
Boy, Twitter, you're falling behind. Falling behind. Facebook's kicking your butt this morning.
And Deb said hi, Dusty.
Welcome back, everyone.
Yes, welcome back. Somebody needs to call in and get this free book from me.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is call in. 843-839-9950. We've already given what? How many books away?
6.
6 books away online on Facebook and Twitter. So give us a call into the radio show this morning. All you gotta do is call in, say, "Hi, Dave, I want that book." And Dave will take your email down, and we will get you out that book this week coming up.
And if you're just joining us today, we're talking with Cale Ferguson about flipping homes.
And his glue is with him.
Yes.
We have nicknamed Reagan, his wife, the glue, like Julie, and because she holds the house together. Really, is what it is. She holds
Women
Cale
do.
together.
That's right.
Right, and again, if you missed out or just joining us on the radio, we because you can see us on Twitter and you can see us on Facebook at the Sid Chase Investment Group. But we also have Scotland in the house this morning, a little 4-year-old baby. She is 4-month-old. Sorry, she is doing so good.
She is.
Awesome,
I think
awesome.
she's passed out.
Because they're
Yeah.
doing it as a family thing, and that's what's cool about them.
Yes.
Yep. Real quick though, if you're interested in investing in real estate at any level, or you want to partner with us on the bigger projects like nursing homes and things like that, find us at sidchase.com. Give us a quick email, and we'll set up a consultation and chat with you and give you the details. And if you're interested to move forward, we'll do that. If you're not, that's okay too. Not a big deal. Well, not everybody fits with everybody.
That's right.
Right. Right.
That's a big part of it,
Well-
being able to fit, kind of like what Cale was talking about, finding your team.
Finding the team earlier. Yep,
Yeah.
that's correct. So what else? What's the next one? I'll let you.
Okay, which part of your job do you enjoy the most?
Mine was demolition.
I would say flexibility.
Yeah?
I'd say that's more of a perk of the job, but flexibility.
Yes.
I mean, I came from a real 9 to 5. It was more like 8:30. Leave the house at 7:30, get home at 6:15.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. So I came from that. That was Monday through Friday, and I just really enjoy the flexibility.
I agree.
You know, I
agree.
I was more talking about
I know.
rehabbing.
So in rehab, I guess I would have to give you The truthful answer would be the joy and the creativity, the creating something new, all right? Getting finished with the job, remembering what it looked like before, looking at it afterwards, saying, "Wow, we did this. This
Right.
is all.
Yes.
This is beautiful."
One of the first businesses we ever owned was a pool company, so we were installing above ground swimming pools in upstate New York, and we would just love, and we'd do about 100 installs a summer, right? And then after a couple of years, we just enjoyed driving around going, "Yep, that's my pool. Yep,
Yeah.
that pool's still standing." You know, there's pride there.
Sure.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
What issues have you encountered that you didn't see coming? Now let's specifically go down to when you first started out. So was it you flipped your first house, you made a little greenbacks, right? And then all of a sudden something happened. Did it make
Taxes.
Taxes. Exactly.
It's funny though. Taxes surprises us every time. We hadn't quite got that down yet. But anyways, no, I think money troubles as a whole. I mean, I think it's.
You're talking about managing it.
Yeah, I'm talking about managing your money, managing the
managing it on the actual flip,
Absolutely.
and then managing your capital or your gains that you're making.
Yeah.
So both of those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you have to fit in your own household budget somewhere in there too. How much are you going to pay yourself?
Right.
How much are you going to put away for taxes? How much do you have to spend on the next house? Am I over budget on this flip and this rental?
Correct.
You know what I'm?
Yeah. So
just
right. So you did you just say that? Hypothetically, I'm not going to get your numbers correct, but you bought a house roughly for $71,000, and you had maybe 82 into it altogether, rough number, and you sold it for, it was like 115,
118.
118. Okay, so I don't get to keep all that to myself. I don't get to keep all that profit to myself.
not the whole difference does not go to you. No,
I don't know if I want to flip houses anymore.
something to consider.
But no, seriously, I mean, you know, people think, oh, I just walked away with a check for $36,000 and I can go buy my Corvette or whatever you want to do with it. It doesn't work that way.
So I don't watch the house flipping shows on television.
Right, either do I.
But I have turned it on to try because so many people ask me about it. Oh yeah, just like that show. And so I finally turned it on to try. And I was looking at their breakdown after one of their flips or something, and all they give you, what they bought it for,
Right.
what they put into it, what they sold it for, and the difference.
Right. And
There's
it's
like
always,
18 numbers missing. is
and
what
it's
I'm
always
thinking.
positive, no matter what. It's a big number that's always positive.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So a lot of those guys that are flipping, just so people know this, and I might get a phone call later today because I'm probably not supposed to say this, but most of them are not positive deals at the end of the show. They're not. They're making their dollars off from the show, and then the show then propels them into the opportunity to sell their stuff out on the open road later.
Right.
Is really
Right.
what's going on with that. Yeah. So those shows, they're nice. They're filled with too much drama for me to watch. But I mean, what I'm trying to say is don't overindulge yourself in watching those shows. That's not real life.
Yeah. I mean, back to your original point about not getting to keep all that money. A lot of people fall in love with house flipping. It's sort of trendy right now, but it's a real business. It's a real business, and you have to have there's real business principles that follow it.
Right.
Like, you're not going to step into this business and make 40% profit, right? What business?
Not today, for sure.
Right. There's very few businesses out there that make 40% profit, and the ones that do don't do it. They don't. Not for long.
No.
Not once they get some competition.
That's a different strategy.
Right.
Right. They're running it to strip it all out, and they only plan on doing it for an X amount of time.
Right.
Is what they're doing when they're at that high margins. Give us 3 practical tips for flipping a house.
So, location.
Okay.
All right. This is my wife's 3 L's.
Okay.
Okay. Location, lighting, and layout. All right.
Ah,
Lighting is something you can do something about.
yes.
Right. It's always better to brighten up a house so that when it's shown, it shows better. Use warm lighting instead of harsh white lighting, like hospital lighting. Warm lights. But the layout is not, and the location is not something that you can change. You have to make sure that you're buying in your target area and in a desirable area, and the layout is, well, you can change it, but it's expensive.
Right.
And so you got to keep up to date with what people like right now.
Right. Do you have one room in the house that you spend more money on rehab than any other house, any other room?
The kitchen,
The kitchen.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kitchen and master bath.
Yeah, that's
Yep,
all,
kitchen-
ours were always
kitchen
the
and
kitchen
bathrooms.
and
Yeah.
the master bath. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. So when you're rehabbing, and I know this is a little bit hard to answer maybe, but do you have, when you move into a market or you bought a house in a certain market, is there a criteria for you to say I'm not going to put granite in this house, I'm going to put Formica, or I'm not going to put 6-pound pad underneath my carpet, I'm only going to use a 3-pound pad, and those types of things.
Yeah, to some degree, the price point that you're selling it at, but really to a larger degree, the competition sort of dictates that. And I like to be slightly better than the competition.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now, I don't want to way overdo it because then I'm spending more money and I'm getting into diminishing returns. But I want to be the best house. I want to be just barely the best house in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we started out believing location, and now I'm not so set on that. So
Mhm.
I would say location definitely is important, but I don't mind putting it in the number 2 slot once in a while too.
Oh,
So,
sure.
yep,
Yeah,
definitely.
I totally agree.
I don't have a problem with that
I totally
at all.
agree.
The other question I had is, what do you look for in a rental property? Now we've been talking about
Mhm.
mostly flips,
Yeah.
but what do you think in a rental property?
Well, in a rental, it needs to stand alone. It needs to cash flow.
Okay.
When I say stand alone, that's what I mean. I mean, it needs to cash flow and be positive, and so you and I have a minimum dollar amount per door.
Correct.
So it needs to meet that threshold. All right, that's after everything, after all the mortgage and insurance and taxes and extras, all of it.
Mm.
So that's number one. Number 2 is I look for equity.
Okay.
Okay, because I want my rental business to propel me forward to doing more deals, to buying more property, opening up new opportunities. So I'm not going to pay full price for a house I want to rent and hold on to for a long time. I want to step into equity. So that would be number 2.
Okay.
My final thing I would say about that is it needs to be in a place I want to hold property. Right?
Now, do you have a time period, like single family? I know you're doing single family homes, but you're purchasing, and is there 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, 6 years down the road? Do you have an exit date for those properties that you're purchasing?
I don't have a hard one set in my mind right now.
Okay.
But it feels more like this is going to set, this is a stepping stone to doing something else with the equity, right? So I'm going to just grow the equity and flip houses to support more rental purchases, and at some point we'll take a leap, do a big deal.
Okay. What's a big deal to you right now?
To me, right now, a big deal would be a development, or so a new development, or a small apartment complex.
Okay. So
Small is to me 50 units, something like that.
50 doors.
Mm-hmm.
50 doors. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have some?
We have a couple questions.
Couple questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
How much money
And who are
down?
they from?
Jerry.
Hey, Jerry.
It's on Facebook.
Okay.
Let's see, this one is.
Yep.
How much money down do you usually put on a property?
I'll let you answer that.
Okay, so Jerry, this is like just me, and a lot of people do all their deals with other people's money,
Right.
but I've never found that sort of setup. So for me, I put down 25% on all my rentals. All right,
Okay.
and I go with my source of financing. I go 25% of the project cost.
Mhm.
All right, so that's purchase price plus repairs, and I go 25% of that.
Okay.
For a flip, it's a little different. I have a commercial loan structure, and I borrow all the money for the rehab and the purchase.
You put 5%.
That's right. I do put. I'm sorry, my
About
wife just
5%.
reminded me. I go about 5% on those.
Okay. Now
Yep.
with us, just so Jerry gets a different view of it, you know, because we're a little bit farther ahead than Cale. We've been doing this for a little bit longer. So with us, when we're doing our flips, it's all cash. We don't borrow any money whatsoever.
Right.
And we don't do rental units at all anymore. There's reasons for that. We won't get into that on this show because we're down to only a few minutes left. But so for us, it's all cash. Period. Whether it's our cash or we're bringing in another investor to do the deal with us, but it's all cash because that just puts more money in our pocket at the end of the day.
It does.
Yep. So what's another question?
Do you?
And who's this?
Oh, it's Colleen. Sorry.
Colleen.
Do you do any marketing for sellers, or do you use a realtor?
So for me, we actually own our own brokerage realty firm, so it's all in-house for us. And Cale is also an agent, so you're doing your own thing. So what type, I think what she wants to know is what type of marketing are you doing?
Actually, Colleen, I'm not doing any marketing currently. It's something that my wife and I have talked about a lot lately because we feel the market tightening. We've just been cherry picking foreclosures. I say cherry picking like it's easy, but we just pick the ones that we know are out there that fit our criteria, and we make offers and we try.
Right.
But we feel the market tightening just a little bit on us right now, so we feel that we're going to have to start going in some other directions and finding bird dogs or wholesalers, and maybe even in different markets. But we have to keep the deals coming. We got to keep the funnel full.
Right.
That's right.
And it's not right now.
Yeah. So for us, when we're selling, we obviously use the MLS. We use all the social networking sites. When we're purchasing, some of the things like when we're purchasing development. So when I'm buying a development, one of the things that I like to look for is I want to have Lennar, DR Horton, any of those big boys. I want them within a couple of miles, maybe 2-3 miles of me on the same road. Or I want to be in the pathway for those people that are going to look at those houses that they have to drive by my development. So our first development that we did, we were actually right across the street from DR Horton, and I forget who the other one, I think it was Lennar down the road from us a half a mile. And so for our first year, we did no marketing at all. And we just had a sign out front, agent on duty, our Chase Signature Home sign, and a flag that said our name on it, and we were able to feed off from their advertising dollars, and so it worked great for us. Yep. So when you're flipping a house, that can be a little bit difficult to do, but so when you're flipping a house, we like to start advertising about 2 weeks before we know that we're going to be done with the property, but we don't allow anybody in. Right. We will not allow anybody to come in, so we start
A lot of people
advertising.
just can't see.
And
the
That's
vision.
why.
we just
Yeah.
don't allow them in the house, but it builds up, and it builds up, and it's built up, and they can't wait to get to see the
Yeah.
house. And then what happens is we usually do an open house, right? And then
Okay.
in that 2-week period of time, we've built up a whole bunch of people that want to come and see the house, and so we throw a party. We have hors d'oeuvres, we have
Smart.
wine or whatever, and we
Most
do
of them are
that.
people in the community.
And most of them are
They're
people in the
curious. They want to
community
see
that
how it's
show up.
turned out, and
People
what
on the
you've done.
cul-de-sac.
Yeah. So
Yes.
another thing we
Yeah.
do, another thing
But
we
they
do
have
for our
friends that might be interested in
That's
moving to
right.
that neighborhood.
Exactly. So
That's
that's another
right.
thing we do when we put up our new spec homes. Because right now, what Julie and I are doing, we're here in the Myrtle Beach market. It's very, very tight. It's beyond tight. It's squeaky. I mean, you can't even get it open right now. There's
Yeah.
just no real good deals for flipping houses here right now, unless you want to be on the high end. So what we're doing is we're actually flipping spec homes. Because the building market here is so fast right now, it takes us about 4 to 6 months, depending on the size of the home, and we're flipping spec homes right now. And what we're doing is the same thing: is we're building up in a certain neighborhood. We get the house to a certain point, and then we go in and invite only the people in the development for the first party. Everybody that's in development. So most developments will have 200-300 people in, and we'll invite them all. And we'll give out free wine, free drinks, free hors d'oeuvres, and maybe take them on a little tour. I mean, whatever. And those are your first line, is your neighbors. The
Right.
second line, and I'm really kind of going into detail on this, but and I don't mean to be cutting you off, but the second line that we do is we go to our real estate agents. So we have a list of, 200 personable agents that we know in this area. So when we're getting ready down to our 2 weeks left of that spec home or the flip house, either or, we are inviting them over for another party because they're going to help us sell that house too.
Right.
So now we got the public helping us, we got the agents helping us, and if we happen to be in a decent area, we got D.R. Horton helping us, Lennar helping us, and Bill Clark's helping us, and everybody's helping us, and it's you just, that's how you do it.
Yeah, that's excellent. I mean, and that's good marketing. I'd like to go back to what you said about 4 to 6 months, just for one sec, because there might be someone out there that's wondering this. I always wondered this when I was thinking about real estate, and how long does it take to flip a house? And so when you say you're flipping spec homes, that sounds about right for flipping a house too. 4 to 6 months.
Yeah,
From start to finish, from offer day to closing. From offer day on the purchase to closing day on the sale. I mean, you could do 3, but 4 is more realistic.
yeah. When we were flipping houses, we would tell our number was always we want to flip it within 1 year. So when we did our numbers, our holding cost and all of that, we did it based on
Holding it for a year.
holding it for a year. And that was in upstate New York, where the market at that time was a little bit slower. Now down here, it's not that way, so we're not booking those numbers that long out. So it's a different story. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty here, getting to the end of the show. Is there any other questions anybody has, Lexi, right off the top of the bat? Dave, who was it called in? Somebody call in?
Yeah, we did have a winner. His name was Greg Griffin. He lives in Myrtle Beach.
Thanks, Greg. We'll get that
Thank
right
you,
out to you. We
Greg.
appreciate you listening in this morning with us.
Yes.
So, Cale, any last thoughts? Any place people can get a hold of you if you're looking for anybody to partner up with you or anything?
Yeah, they can go to, they can find me on Facebook. It's just Cale Ferguson.
C-A-L-E.
CaleFerguson.
Okay.
Facebook. And yeah, that'd probably be the best way to reach out.
Okay.
So
Yep. And that's it. If they can.
I can also check out before and afters on there, and so.
Yeah,
Do you have a
you've
web?
got some
Do you
beautiful
have a
pictures on
website
there.
up or no? Not yet.
We had a website that we had really nicely done.
Okay.
But we just felt like at the time Facebook was every bit as
Yes.
doing every bit as
And it
good
is.
as a professional website was for us. So
Mhm.
we just sort of dropped it. So we weren't doing the same thing twice because
Right.
we were just doing
Yeah.
double the work for it.
That's a good
Exactly.
idea.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Well, we thank you guys for coming
Yes,
in all
thank
the way
you.
out from Lexington, Columbia area in South Carolina. And we look forward to working with you guys in the future also.
Yes.
And I know we're going to talk about doing some things together, and I'm excited about that. So, Julie, why don't you tell us what we got going on for activities?
Okay, activities. At the Brook Green Gardens, they have the dinosaur exhibit going on, and that's actually till April.
Are they live dinosaurs?
Look like it though.
They look like it?
They do look like it. Ray was
'Cause we-
scared.
I can remember.
Was she really? Our
I can remember
granddaughter
way
really
back
was
in the
scared.
day when we were selling brick phones out of our antique shop. I remember us selling dinosaur doo-doo.
Yes, fossils.
Fossils?
Yeah.
All right, what else is going on?
This is one of my favorite things here is the Dickinson's Christmas Show and Festival.
Mhm.
There's 350 vendors there. We've gone, I think, almost every year.
Mhm.
It's November 9th through the 12th at the Myrtle Beach Convention Center. So that's something.
Yes, you have to pay for parking.
Yes.
Just so people know. You have to pay for parking. It's not very much,
No,
a few bucks,
no,
something
yeah,
like that.
yeah. But 350 vendors, that's a lot of.
Yeah, and if you get an opportunity, if you're local too, head up to the North Myrtle Beach Water Park. I saw some stuff on the internet this week that they're putting their light show
Oh.
up there, and so that should be pretty
Oh, great,
interesting
great.
also. And because that holiday time's coming right around the
Yes,
corner. I'm
our
so
favorite
excited
time of
about
year.
Thanksgiving. Yeah, it's a day off.
A day off.
Can't wait. It's the only two I get all year long.
All right, let's share some Did You
We
Know?
like to do a Did You Know?
Okay.
Okay, so you go ahead.
The wedding ring goes on the left finger because it is the only finger with a vein that connects to the heart. Aw.
Hmm.
I
Very sweet.
love
Did you know that?
one.
I did not know that.
Either did I. Either did I. And what's the next thing?
Music is one of the few activities in life that utilizes the entire brain. So listen to some music.
Listen to lots of music. Yes. Yep.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Here we go.
Here's the
One-
important one for you chocolate lovers.
1 chip of chocolate can provide enough energy for an adult human to walk 150 feet. See, I told you chocolate's good for you.
I'm not a chocolate fan, so I just
Chocolate.
occasionally I might have a Snickers bar, but other than, and it's for the caramel. It's not for the chocolate. Though I did go to the we used to go to New York City to the chocolate show every year,
Yes.
and
Chocolates from all over the world.
all over the world were there. And my favorite chocolate was the camel. It was a camel, looked like a camel.
Milk chocolate.
Yep, and it was light brownish color, but inside of it was actually camel milk.
All right. Well, that's it, guys. We got to cut the show. If you need to get in touch with us, Sid Chase at sidchase.com. So until next week, never give up on your dreams.
Be safe and enjoy your weekend, everyone. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.